What's going on, everybody? David Payne here for NoDQ.com with another edition of Power of Pain. Now, I apologize that I haven't gotten a video done in a couple weeks. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank, I don't even know if it's the right thing to say, it sounds kind of egotistical, but my fans out there, the ones who actually watch this and leave me kind comments, and also the ones who anticipate my next show. So I appreciate that. Thank you. So it's been a few weeks now, so there's some things that have happened. There's a few things I'm going to touch on, including the demise, quite possibly the imminent demise of TNA, and also things that happened on Raw and SmackDown, and leading up to Hell in a Cell coming up this Sunday. So there's a few things I'll touch on. The first thing I'd like to talk about, I'll grab my drink here. Kickstart, weren't they a WWE sponsor? Well, maybe they can be my sponsor too. Goldberg, Lesnar. You guys really want to see this match? Is it important? Is it a big box office draw? Yes, of course it is. I mean, the last 5 WrestleManias or so, they've been looking, the WWE, always for that big box office match. Even if it's not the best match on the card, it's still a big box office draw. Now, I have a bad taste left in my mouth from the WrestleMania that when Stone Cold was the guest referee and you had Goldberg and Lesnar. Now, remember that New York crowd wasn't into it. Why? Because they knew, the smart fans that were there knew that Lesnar was leaving to go try his luck at the NFL. And you know what? If I may say on that, I'll give Lesnar credit. He made it to the very final cut. He was the very last player cut to make a 53-man roster for the Minnesota Vikings, and he was put on a practice squad. He was ultimately let go because he had a hot head and he liked to get in fights in the locker room, and that's not good for a locker room, so they just figured, well, you're out of here. He's raw. He was good, but raw. So he tried his luck at that. The fans knew it there at WrestleMania. Goldberg was on the way out in his contract. He wasn't very happy about how he had been booked in WWE at that point. So needless to say, I mean, that match took about 10 minutes to even get started. It wasn't very good at all. So based on that, why would we want to see this again? Regardless, when it's $9.99, at least for the time being, and fans are getting, pay-per-views for free, so you can put this on, Survivor Series? Is that when they're going to wrestle? Either way, it'll be a big box office draw. Goldberg wants to do it. The promo that he cut was pretty good. He was only given bullet points. He wasn't scripted word by word like a Roman Reigns, and fans really loved it. Definitely the biggest pop I've seen since Shane McMahon returned in Detroit, right here in my hometown for Monday Night Raw. And I love those kind of pops, regardless of who it is. As a fan watching it and you see the arena just light up, it's great, So good for WWE, good for Goldberg. I know it's just more or less a promotion for the video game. I hope next year when WWE 2K18 comes out that Kurt Angle will be a guy featured. WWE needs to let Kurt Angle come back. If not for a part-time gig, he needs to at least have a one-off match. Now, I know Vince McMahon is concerned about what could happen, but the guy wrestled in TNA all the way up until, last February. He was having matches. He's leaner. Yeah, his body is beat the hell up. I mean, you've seen the matches he's been in throughout his career. Your body would too. But the point is, let the guy come back. Let Kurt Angle come back, and that would be a box office draw with anybody you put him with. And then put him in the Hall of Fame. Then you can have him come out as a manager or have him endorse someone like Flair did for Charlotte. Let him have with American Alpha. Something. Kurt Angle needs to come back. But for now, we got Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg Part 2. So we'll see how that goes. So Hell in a Cell coming up, and what I'm hearing now is not only will the women's title match featuring Charlotte and Sasha be in a Hell in a Cell for the first time, but it's probably going to be the main event. It's going to close the show. Now, wouldn't that be phenomenal? Great for them. It's about time the WWE or wrestling in general takes women seriously in this business, because based on what I've seen with NXT and the WWE the last few years, the women's division is just terrific. And it's a pleasure to watch. Now, there's a few people I don't like. but that's just based on their character and how they want them to be perceived, like the diva still, like I'm not a huge Brie and Nikki Bella fan. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say Brie Bella because I would assume she's more down to earth being that she's with Daniel Bryan, who's really a simple guy. The guy has a tiny house. You ever seen one of these things? They're like 200 square foot, and all the shelves are built in throughout the house, so you can have everything in there. That's the kind of lifestyle this guy likes, and he uses his own shit uh, for whatever, for compost. So, yeah. But I'm getting a little bit off topic. So the women's division match at Hell in a Cell, that's going to be great. You wonder, is there going to be blood? Will it get, think about all the classic Ric Flair matches where that white hair was just soaked in blood, I would love to see Charlotte do it. Screw it. What the heck, right? So, this week on Raw, I'll get to this now. Raw was a better show. Raw was more, they were right up there with SmackDown, closer than they have been. The stuff with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, with Chris Jericho thrown in the mix, you knew it was coming. It was written on the wall. That relationship between Kevin Owens and Y2J is going to implode, and we all saw it coming, and Y2J is going to get his push a little bit, if you will, probably be in a championship picture. Don't see him winning it, and then he'll go off to do Fozzy probably around the holidays, and then he'll come back at Royal Rumble maybe. Who knows? But I like it. It's funny, but it gets a little bit cliche sometimes when they force a chant and they try to get something started. Now, what was it this week with Seth Rollins? Was it Sparkle Crotch, or Sparkle Ass, whatever you want? Yeah, it was cutesy, but whatever. It is what it is. But the list, you're on the list. That's great. So let's see, what else here? Was looking at, what do we got here? Braun Strowman again. Oh yeah, let's get into that. The jobbers, I'm not, I'm kind of liking what they're doing. First they have 2 jobbers, then they got 3 jobbers against them, and he's saying that's not enough, give me something, and then Sami Zayn comes out. It's unfortunate for Sami Zayn because I still think they're going to go with this Braun Strowman push, let him be this unstoppable guy, and man, Sami Zayn will probably lose. I mean, for some reason, he's the guy that always loses for WWE. And then we had the Cruiserweight match, Brian Kendrick, Tony Nese, and Drew Gulak versus T.J. Perkins, Cedric Alexander, and Rich Swann. Now, Rich Swann's been getting a push. If you saw NXT this Wednesday, he was involved in the Dusty Rhodes Classic there. That was pretty good. T.J. Perkins had a few. He was a little off. He missed the springboard over the top rope, and he completely missed. It's still not perfect yet what they're doing with the cruiserweights, but the fans are catching on. I mean, it's more suited right now to have those kind of high spot type matches with these guys on NXT because those fans, they're true wrestling fans and they know what they're getting into. If you go to a Southern crowd, no disrespect, but you get a lot of kids and it's more about the storyline and they don't understand about the really good wrestling, some of the younger kids, and so the Cruiserweight to me is what's going to end up helping Raw in the future. So I think there'll be more things to come, and I think they're really high on Tony Nese. Guy's jacked, but he's still a Cruiserweight. And then, we had Goldberg's return, which was a good promo, and it led to the buildup of him and Lesnar. So then we have SmackDown. Now, SmackDown, I've been high on the last several months now. I think they've had consistently the better show. Perhaps that's because it's 2 hours, and it's not a whole lot to... The attention span's easier contained. 3 hours it gets to be, especially if you go there live. Man, Raw is a killer to go through when you're sitting there live. But SmackDown's been a great show. This week it was... I like the stuff that's going on with Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles. Now, some people may say, well, why aren't they taking him seriously? He is. They are. They're making him the number one heel. He's the champion. And there's some funny stuff, but it's not like over. I mean, it's good. It's well done, I think. I think it's funny. It's entertaining for me to watch. And Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles, I think, are working this program brilliantly, Now, I think AJ is going to get a long run. I think he's going to get a long run, and I think eventually you'll see the serious program when eventually him and I would guess Randy Orton at WrestleMania, leading towards that. I mean, that's anything could change, but that's the way I see it, and that's the way my colleague Aaron Riff sees it too. And no, I'm not copying him, but I truly believe that's the direction that they're going in. And how about James Ellsworth? Let's get into this guy, an enhancement talent, a guy who was a local product in Baltimore, I believe, and working bingo halls and armories and bars and clubs, things of that nature. I mean, when you're an indie wrestler, man, your own money you're traveling with, and it's very tough. And here's a guy that gets a break. He impresses people in the WWE camp, and there's something they like about him. It might have been Arn Anderson, I think, who liked something about James Ellsworth. And he's got this look, this dweeby look, like he couldn't beat up a fly. And so it plays to him, and then he gets that sympathy. And so his first match against Strowman, I think it was, he got clobbered, and now they're bringing him back, and he's gotten 2 wins over AJ Styles, and I just think it's pretty funny. And who knows what they're going to do with him, but I just hear now that he has the #1 selling shirt on WWE Shop. Go figure that. A guy who was just a regular schmo working the indie circuit now has the #1 selling shirt in WWE. Good for him. Good for James Ellsworth. What else do we got here for SmackDown? Kurt Hawkins, not real big on him, what he's doing. Him and Apollo Crews, that's a throwaway match. Let's see here. Dolph Ziggler versus the Spirit Squad when he had Rhino and Slater and Dolph Ziggler. So yeah, I mean, SmackDown was average. Like I said, Raw was a little bit closer to SmackDown in my opinion this week. But now we got TNA. Now I do watch TNA, and I have been watching. You got Eddie Edwards as the TNA champion. You got Aaron Rex, formerly known as Damian Sandow / Mizdow. He is the Grand Slam champion. What do you guys think about that in TNA? Now, despite what's going to happen, Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins, formerly, he's trying everything to get this company his. And the Carters, it's just a big, who knows what's going to happen. I hope WWE acquires their library simply for the fact that, we could see all those great matches that did take place in TNA. And unfortunately, the Hogan and Bischoff came in and things just went south. But there was a time where, like, Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles, or AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle. I mean, there were so many great matches. So who knows what's going to happen with TNA. I'm liking what they did. Their last pay-per-view I watched, I thought it was very entertaining. The Hardys are great. They're going somewhere. I just hope they have a foundation. I hope they still have a TV contract that they can, and that was the problem with WCW when they were for sale. And Bischoff and some investors tried to buy it, but they wouldn't give them a TV deal. So we don't know yet, but so far it's enough for me to watch it on Thursdays. So for all the TNA soldiers out there, I hope I hope TNA sticks around, and I hope they can build back up to be competitive against WWE. Because after all, not in all cases, but in this instance with wrestling, it's best for business to have competition. That's what I think anyway. So I think that'll do it for me then. I think I touched on a little bit of everything. Oh yeah, so listen, if you guys have any comments or questions that you want me to answer on an episode of Power of Pain, then ask me the question on Twitter and put hashtag PAIV, just like you do with Aaron, and that way I'll know that it's something you want me to read on here, and that'll give me a little more material to work with to answer your guys' questions. So with that being said, stay tuned to NoDQ.com. We got Hell in a Cell coming up. I'm sure Aaron Rift and I and Jeff Meacham hopefully will do a prediction video for that, so keep on the lookout for that. And also stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest coverage with WWE and TNA. Oh, if you're music fans, check out Green Day's new album, Revolution Radio. It's on Spotify and stuff now. I like it. It's pretty good. It's probably one of the better albums they've put out since maybe 21st Century Breakdown or American Idiot. So check that out. And yeah, like I said, at SmartMark420, if you want to ask me anything on Twitter, I'll do my best to answer it. And I'll do my best to do more of these videos too, because yeah, I appreciate everybody's input, and stay tuned for more. So, on that note, I'm David Payne, and I'll see you next time.